Hi, it's Julie Nelson and Portia Ryan. We are filming from Austin, Texas today. Portia flew in from Southern California so that we could work together today and tell you about Success Faster. You can find the book on Amazon. SuccessFasterBook.com will take you right to the Amazon page. So what's our topic on this video?
Oh my gosh, so I would love to hear from you on the topic of pivots, which you discuss in depth in your book. So you start the book off with a chapter telling us about your own professional pivots, right? Mm-hmm. Why is the concept of pivot so important?
Yeah, okay, so I love this topic. And sometimes I feel like we need to give ourselves permission to shift or pivot or make a change. Now, I think in our businesses and our lives, I think we have small pivots all the time. I've lost track. It would be an enormous list. In the book, I'm really talking more about some of the bigger pivots. So, for example, in real estate, it was a big pivot when you decided to get your real estate license and move in that direction to start your new career. That is a big pivot. Maybe when you hired your first assistant, that certainly is at least a medium pivot and maybe a big pivot.
Was a big pivot for me.
Changing brokerages is a big pivot, and I did that recently. Me deciding to write the book represented a big pivot for me because it was a real commitment and focus in a very important direction.
Right.
So
why is that concept of pivot so critical for us?
Here's one of the main things behind it is if something's not working at a high level, or you're not happy or you're not hitting your goals, just change something, pivot. Something's not working. Now, I think we always need to go internal before we go external. So we need to do some assessment in terms of how are we showing up in the world? How are we being? What are we bringing to the table that's creating or contributing to the situation?
Okay.
Once you've done that assessment, that analysis, it's like, am I due for a pivot? So you and I worked on this together over the last year when I realized I had some business goals that I was very purposely working on and gaining some clarity on why I wanted that in my life and what my next 5 years in the business was going to look like.
Okay.
And I realized in that process that I needed to create a fairly major pivot so that I could clearly move in that direction.
Right.
So it was an analysis interpersonally, and it was an analysis of my business and my goals and where I was going. And then it was a course correction so that I could soundly move in that direction. So if you're listening to this video, so looking at your life and looking at your business, how well is it working? And where are you going? And are you on the right path? Are you on a path that is going to lead you in that direction, or do we need a course correction to make that work?
Okay.
And to soundly head in that direction. So what is it for you?
I like what you said, and to soundly head in that direction. So it's not just the analysis and evaluating, but making the pivot purposeful, which is what you do. I've seen you do this. Make the pivot purposeful so that you soundly move in that direction. Wow, I love how you said that.
Well, and I think if you're really paying attention, say, like to your internal dialogue of how am I feeling and where am I going and how sound does it feel? And if it's off, if it's not feeling sound, if there's internal dialogue that is all over the place, it's usually an indication that you may be ripe for a pivot.
Right. Okay.
Now, it could be a small pivot, could be a medium pivot, could be a big pivot, depends on the situation. This happens personally and in business.
Sure.
If a relationship is not working at a high level, fix it. And it may involve a pivot. And that doesn't mean that you leave a relationship. It means that you recommit to a relationship. And the same thing in business. Sometimes we simply need to recommit to where we're at versus, oh, I'm just going to change completely and that's going to fix my problem. Here's an important thing. Whatever pivot you make, remember that if you're going to make a change, remember that you take yourself with you.
Yes.
So we all do. So whatever kind of issues are surfacing in your world, personally or professionally, just making a pivot doesn't necessarily mean that those issues are going to go away, because guess what? I'm going with me.
Wherever you go, there you are.
There I am.
Yeah.
So, and again, that is some internal introspection that says, do I need to shift or change, or do I need to shift and change my environment, or do I need to shift and change my focus so that I can soundly and confidently move in the direction of my dreams? Wow, that's a quote from somewhere. I don't know.
There's on the thing about wherever you go, there you are. So
yes,
that's so powerful with the pivots. I read, and I apologize. I can't give you the source, but it's because I read so many different things on Facebook, and I click those links. But I saw a meme.
Okay.
And it was a take on the Serenity Prayer, and instead of saying that the Serenity Prayer, it said, "God grant me the serenity to change the people I can change, to let go of the people I can't change, and the wisdom to know that I am that person, those people."
Nice.
That really we're the one we need to change.
Yeah.
And that's part of the pivot, isn't it?
It is recognizing when you need to change. So you'd either need to change your goal or change who you're being so that you can move toward that new goal. Or
change what you're doing to get to the goal.
Yeah.
Because maybe sometimes we have the right goal and we're not utilizing the right tools and activities to get there. And there's a pivot right there.
And I do believe that a good coach helps you with that assessment and that analysis, because it sometimes it's certainly hard for us to analyze ourselves with just the mirror in front of our face, and having another person to work through that makes a lot of sense.
I agree. Well, you've certainly done some major pivots. In this book, Success Faster, which is what this series we're talking about is, and Julie sharing her journey with us so that we can grow as well, is you really cover some major pivots that you undertook in your personal and professional life, and you gave real life experiences. And I thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with all of us.
Well, and in the book, I purposely added a final pivot, but it doesn't have anything attached to it because it's a placekeeper, because I'm very aware of the fact that there will be some other pivot in my future. I just don't know what it is. So to recognize that.
That's great.
Hope you enjoy the book, successfasterbook.com. Look for more videos online.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.